Days passed, but the apartment seemed to grow darker with each one. The knocking returned, irregular but relentless, always just out of reach. Sometimes barely a whisper, sometimes pounding like a desperate heartbeat.
You are listening to the Fearcast. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
The rain had been falling steadily all day, a gray, unyielding curtain luring the cityscape into a melancholic haze. Outside the crumbling apartment complex, I paused, gripping the handle of my battered suitcase tire. Apartment 9B. Then, I'd tell the place was supposed to be my fresh start, a sanctuary away from the chaos of my life. But as I looked up at the worn brick facade, streaked with years of grime and peeling paint, a wave of unease rolled over me. The building felt tired, as if it were exhaling its last breath. Inside, the lobby was cloaked in shadows, lit only by flickering fluorescent bulbs that buzzed with a relentless hum, echoing through cracked plaster walls and stained carpet. The receptionist, an older woman with dull eyes and a face worn by time, handed me my keys wordlessly, barely making eye contact. "Top floor, last door on the left," she said, voice low, like a warning swallowed by the gloom. The elevator creaked ominously as it climbed, each ding a reluctant step toward a place that seemed to hold its breath. When the doors slid open, a long, dimly lit hallway stretched ahead, lined with peeling wallpaper and stained carpet muffling my footsteps. Apartment 9B's door stood before me, its paint cracked and warped, the wood beneath swollen from years of damp. Pushing it open revealed an apartment frozen in decay, furniture covered with dusty sheets, a faint scent of mildew, and something metallic, like rust or old blood, lingering in the stale air. "Airing?" I dropped my bags and flicked the lights on, but the bulbs flickered weakly before bathing the room in a pale, flickering glow. Shadows clung to every corner. Despite my fatigue, a cold knot tightened in my stomach as the silence pressed against me. That first night, as the rain pounded relentlessly against the windows and thunder rumbled distantly, I noticed a flicker of light beneath the door. Curious and uneasy, I stepped into the hallway, but it was empty, silent, as if the light had been a trick of my eyes. Then, I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. A soft, deliberate knocking, coming from inside the apartment, from the bedroom closet door. My heart hammered as I approached. Slowly, I reached out and opened the closet. Inside, only empty hangers and dust, except for a crumpled piece of paper taped inside the door. My hands trembled as I pulled it out, written hastily in smeared ink, were the words, "Do not listen, do not answer." The closet door slammed shut behind me with a deafening bang. I was alone, but I knew this was no ordinary apartment. This was only the beginning. Days passed, but the apartment seemed to grow darker with each one. The knocking returned, irregular but relentless, always just out of reach. Sometimes barely a whisper, sometimes pounding like a desperate heartbeat. At night, faint voices echoed through the walls, a language I couldn't understand but that chilled me to the bone. Objects moved on their own. Books toppled off shelves. Chairs scraped the floor in empty rooms. Shadows twisted and swayed as if alive. I stopped trusting my own senses. Desperation drove me to ask the few neighbors I could find, but their eyes grew distant and wary. Finally, an elderly man with a cracked voice and trembling hands told me the apartment's dark secret. The previous tenant, Henry Lowe, had been a sound engineer obsessed with capturing frequencies beyond human hearing. He believed the walls whispered secrets, that something waited inside the plast. It disappeared without a trace one cold winter night. Some whispered that the apartment had swallowed him whole, that the voices had driven him mad and dragged him into another realm. Driven by fear and curiosity, I sought out Henry's old journals, hidden away in musty archives. His writing was frantic, filled with tales of shadows creeping through cracks and fingers stretching from the walls to grasp at him. His last entry read like a terrified confession. They come through the cracks, untrapped, help me. That night, the apartment came alive. The closet door thundered violently, as if something monstrous was trying to break free. The anguished screams I'd heard before became deafening roars. Cold, invisible hands gripped me, nails digging into my skin, until I was trembling and gasping for breath. The closet door burst open, and a black mass poured out, a tangle of limbs, and too many fingers, twisting and pulling, suffocating me in shadow. I slammed the door shut with every ounce of strength I had, and collapsed on the floor, heart pounding, sweat soaking my clothes. I realized then the apartment wasn't just haunted. It was a prison, a gateway, a living nightmare. Determined not to become another victim, swaddled by the darkness, I armed myself with candles, a voice recorder, and a fierce will to understand. That night, as the knocking began again, I spoke softly into the silence. "Who's there?" The reply was a fragile whisper, barely audible but unmistakably human. Trapped, the closet door creaked open slowly, revealing an impossible veil, a shimmering tier between worlds. Beyond it, I saw a figure, a gaunt man, pale and hollow-eyed, reaching out with trembling hands. Henry Lowe. His voice was desperate, pleading, "Help me escape." The air grew thick, the shadows deepened, and as I reached toward him, an invisible force yanked me forward. Darkness swallowed me whole. I lost all sense of time and space, trapped in a void of silence and cold. When I awoke, I was lying on the cold floor of the apartment. The veil gone, Henry vanished. The apartment had returned to its eerie quiet, but the knocking persisted, a soft, mournful echo. I fled at dawn, leaving behind the cursed walls and the shadows that dwelled within them. Yet, even now, months later, when rain taps softly against my window, I hear the faint, desperate knocking, an endless plea from a trapped soul, still reaching out from beyond. The experience changed me. I moved far away, but the memories clung to me like a second skin. The scars were not on my body, but etched into my mind, visions of shadowy hands, whispers and forgotten tongues. The suffocating darkness of that veil. I often wonder about Henry Lowe, whether he truly escaped, or if he remains trapped forever between worlds, his voice lost to time. On quiet nights, I feel phantom fingers brush against my skin, and hear whispers pressing at the edge of my hearing. Apartment 9B was more than just a place. It was a liminal space, a prison for the lost, a doorway to darkness never have been opened. I left my keys, my belongings, and my past there, hoping to sever the connection. But the echoes remain, persistent and unforgiving, reminding me that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. The rain still falls, and somewhere beneath it all, the knocking waits, patient and eternal.